Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, my name is Ivy, and in this video I wanted to talk about my 10 favorite occult items for 2023. I did this last year and it was a lot of fun, so if you want to see my 2022 favorites, I'll link that in the description box. But I kind of have an eclectic mix of things here. I have tools, products, books, things I've foraged, my favorite plant spirit of the year, just like a bunch of randomness. And I'm excited to share it with you because I feel like I got into some really unique stuff this year. So starting off strong, let's start with my favorite book of the year. I read a lot of books this year. There were a couple books that were really good, and in fact I had two books that were neck and neck when I was trying to decide which one was first place for me. So there was another one that got a very close second place, but I also read a lot of mediocre books, so many mediocre books, and then two really awful, terrible books. So the book that I ultimately chose for my favorite book of the year is called The Bones Fall in a Spiral, and this is a book on necromancy. It's by Mortellus. I actually did interview Mortellus on this channel, and we talked about mediumship and necromancy and things like that. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll link the discussion we had in the description box. And the reason why I chose this one, because like I said, there were a couple books that I read this year that were just phenomenal and they were so close, but this one spoke to me on a personal level. Over this last year, I really wanted to develop my necromancy practice, and I was so happy to get my hands on a book like this because you just don't see very many books on necromancy, and the ones that are out in the community, sometimes they're a little problematic. So it was really nice to read a fresh, new perspective on necromancy, and I also just adore Mortellus as well. So the other books that I read were still so good, but this one just spoke to me personally and what I was currently going through over this last year. So if you're interested in necromancy, or even if you're just curious, this book was so approachable. You can still see I have all my tabs in here. There was an abundance of rituals in here as well, and I really love the coffin sigils that the author created for the different rituals. Here's another one. But yeah, I just really appreciate how this book was written. It is beginner friendly, but it's not necessarily a beginner book. And that's exactly what I was looking for because I get so tired of reading the same stuff over and over. So I felt like the content was really fresh. I really loved it. Definitely my favorite for 2023. Next, I want to move on to my favorite plant spirit of the year. A plant spirit that I really connected a lot deeper to. And I wanted to kind of talk about it too because I don't ever see red poppy talked about that much, but I connected with red poppy a little bit more this last year. If you saw my war water video, you'll see that I put red poppies as a symbolism of war into when I make my war water to just make it a little bit extra potent and powerful. But red poppies also cause confusion, and they are just great for confusing your target. And in fact, what's really funny about this plant spirit is that I have misplaced this and lost my red poppies so many times, like so many. It's like a little trickster plant spirit for me because I will set it down somewhere and then I'm like, where are my red poppies? And they've just disappeared. They've confused me, and it's so funny because I don't misplace things. Most of you know I am very type A, rigid, organized. I know where everything is in my house. So the fact that I am misplacing something is really odd. This is actually a brand new bag of red poppy because I cannot find my container of red poppy. I can't find it anywhere. So I'm holding on to this, okay? It's not going anywhere. But yeah, I just really love this plant spirit. And just as an FYI, any videos that I mention in this video, I'll have it linked in the description box. So if you're interested in making war water or whatever, all of that stuff is gonna be linked. But yeah, if you wanna cause some confusion, you wanna go to war, you wanna go to bat, red poppies are for you. The next items I think I want to talk about are candles. So I discovered a new brand, a new company this last year, and I've talked about them so many times now at this point. I love Coven Candle Company. It's a small business. The woman reached out to me on Instagram and her products are just gorgeous. Her aesthetic is just so on point. I have used so many of her candles at this point. So here's an example of one of the ritual candles. I have one still in black and purple. I think there are other colors available right now as well. There's also little goddess figurines, but the attention to detail is just, chef's kiss. I really love these figurine candles. And I love figurine candles already when I do candle magic. I really like to use the figurines to represent the subject of my spell or where I want the energy to be directed towards. And I actually filmed a couple spells over this last year. I'll show you some B-roll of that, but I had done a pink goddess candle ritual for healing myself, and then there was another spell that I did. It was a bleeding skull candle, and it looked so badass when the blood was actually pouring out of the candle. So I have just really fallen in love with this this company. I love the candle wax that they use. It just burns so clean and so nice. This video is not sponsored, by the way. This is me just talking about my favorites. And they're super affordable too. They're not expensive at all, which I love. Next, I want to show you my favorite amulet of the year. If you watched my Greece vlog, you saw when I got this in Greece. It's the evil eye, and I actually ended up getting the evil eye tattooed while I was in Greece as well. So the evil eye symbol definitely holds a special place in my heart. I'm going to call it an amulet. I know some people might argue with me and call it a talisman, but for what I'm using it for, I would really call it an amulet. And I actually want to turn this into a really potent banishing charm. So I'll probably make a video of that. I'm hoping to do it this month. That's the goal. But I want to turn it into a banishing charm that I can walk through my house with this and expel any sort of spirits or negative entities in my space that I don't want there. But this piece is just beautiful. I love the energy coming off of it. When we were in the little shop in Greece, the woman was telling us that all of these, because it's hand-blown glass and there's no one that is the same, so they're all very unique and handmade. So there is no other piece out there that looks like this, that is this exact one. So I thought that was really special. It could have been a touristy thing. I don't care. Regardless, I thought this was so beautiful and I cannot wait to turn it into more of a banishing charm. Right now it's just kind of like a ward. It's more of like a passive protection charm that I have hanging up in my house right now, but we're gonna get a little bit more aggressive with it later on in that other video. What shall I show you next? You know what? I'm gonna show you the one other thing that I got in Greece because we're already here. Why not? I got this tiny little genie lamp, and when I saw it at it was like just like a little flea market we were walking through, and it was at the bottom of a box with a bunch of stuff piled on top of it, and I pulled it out and I was like, wow, that's beautiful. It's really heavy too. You would think something like this, it kind of looks like it's made of plastic or something, but no, it is very, very heavy. So I used this to house one of my servitors. I created a servitor over this last year to help me with my intellectual pursuits. For those that don't know, I go to school. I do a lot of intellectual activities, making videos on YouTube, especially my more educational ones. So I wanted a servitor to assist me with that and really help me get in the zone in those times where I need to go into professor mode, enlightened professor, enlightened student, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I've really loved this little genie lamp as a way to work with my servitor because all I have to do is rub the genie lamp a certain way, and I am calling forth my servitor when I do that. Next is a road opener oil. I did a lot of luck and prosperity workings over 2023. It's funny, I feel like 2022 was more about protection. Well, actually, no, I feel like that was more about like money and protection. But then in 2023, I just focused on a ton of luck spells. And oh my gosh, did they absolutely work and open new doors and opportunities for me. It was just like a really lucky, wonderful year. So anyways, I definitely recommend getting some sort of road opener oil and doing some road opening spells for yourself. I'll link my road opener spell as well. I don't think I had this particular oil at the time of filming that video, but this is the oil that I've been using recently that I really love. So this is from the Serpent's wand. It is just road opening oil. You can see all of the different herbs and correspondences in there. I'll link them too, but just getting any sort of road opener oil to put on your candles when you're doing a candle spell, to rub on your wrists before you leave your house for the day, or behind your ears if you want to hear some good news, put some road opening oil right behind your ears. You can even put it at the bottom of your feet so you can just be in the right place at the right time. All road opener oil does is literally open the roads for you. It removes obstacles and just opens the pathways to all these new opportunities, and I have been using it in pretty much all of my luck and prosperity spells. Definitely pick up some road opener oil if you don't have some already. Next is, so I have two items that were gifts, one item that was foraged, and one that I made. So where should we go from here? Let's talk about the items that were gifted to me, my two favorites for the year. So for those that don't know, I'm in a coven, and look at this sweet little figurine. At one of our retreats, one of my coven mates got a gift for all of us. So she actually went to a thrift store and she was able to find a bunch of figurines like this that looked a little witchy. Like you can see she's got a little witchy hat on her, and they were all little girls and they were all shaped a little bit differently. So this one obviously is with the blue umbrella, she's got the pigtails and the black hat, and they were all very unique. They were all porcelain figurines and all kind of witchy, but just like very unique, different colors, different postures, different outfits. And then what she did is she wrapped them all. This is such a great gift idea, by the way, is just to go to the thrift store and find stuff like this. So she wrapped them all and put them on a table. And then during our Coven retreat, when we were all hanging out together, she had us walk up and intuitively select whichever one it was that was really calling out to us at the time. So she didn't even know who was going to get what figurine. She wrapped them all up. We couldn't see what was in the box. We had no idea. And we walked up and just intuitively selected the one that we felt like was meant for us. So this is the one that I had selected for me. And I just thought she's so sweet. She has a lot of water energy. If you think like the umbrella, she's standing in the rain, blue for water. So she's definitely more like a water entity. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with her yet, but she is so gorgeous. And I just thought it just brings back really good memories for me. So it's one of my favorites. Another item is a gift that I got from a subscriber, and I actually just recently got this and talked about it, I don't know, in a video sometime before Christmas, sometime in December. But this is probably one of the most sacred items that I own now. So I just wanted to thank you again. This was sent from a subscriber, and it's a rattle. So it has a quartz point on the end. It's made with animal fur and feathers. The whole thing is handmade. Here's the top of the rattle so you can see it better. I have been using this so much to get into altered states of consciousness, to raise energy during my rituals. It just feels good. You know when you like pick up an item, you put it in your hands and it feels like it fits your soul? That is this thing for me. So I really, really love this rattle. Plus I didn't own a rattle beforehand. So this is absolutely one of my prized possessions now, and I'm never letting anyone else touch it ever again. It's mine. No one touches this but me. The last item in my favorites list for this last year is my glyph set. And I wanted to kind of update you all because it's been months and months now, and I haven't really had a chance to like sit down and really properly update you on it. I mentioned this in my last video as well, but if you're unfamiliar or if you're new to my channel, I started working with Thoth over this last year. I decided to make a glyph set to help communicate with him a little bit more, and it's basically just a divination set. So it's made out of river rocks. I went down to the river and collected a bunch of rocks made out of the same material, roughly the same size, and then I created my own language of symbols and painted them onto each rock. So for example, here's a couple little images that you can see. So I made my own language with these, and I just have to say this is the most accurate divination system I've ever had. So if you have not made your own, you could call them witches runes if you want. I call these glyphs to honor Thoth. For those that know. So I did do a whole video talking about the process of making this and just kind of like showing my whole journey with Thoth, so I'll link that video too. But yeah, I just have had really incredible results with this glyph set. It is so much more accurate than anything. I mean, my tarot cards are pretty accurate. I have one deck that I have really deeply bonded with, but this glyph set is just perfect to give me very direct advice. The most direct advice I think that I've ever gotten. Because sometimes, I don't know, if you do tarot, sometimes you're kind of staring at the cards and you're like, well, what the hell does that mean? What is that supposed to mean? What am I supposed to actually do? I feel like this set is just way more straightforward, and it gives me something to work with. So oftentimes when I sit down, I'll do both tarot and my glyph set. So I'll sit down and do some tarot for a little while to have a more elaborate conversation, because this doesn't really allow for a robust conversation. It's very direct. So I'll have this conversation with tarot to kind of talk about the subject or whatever my question is, and then at the very end of my tarot reading I will go in and pull a glyph, either for clarity or a glyph asking what I should focus on this next week to achieve all these goals that I was just talking about. So yeah, my work with Thoth this last year was just incredible. So many opportunities came up for me. He really helped me with my writing and my aspirations of eventually becoming a published writer. He helped me with my classes when things got really difficult. He helped me in my dreams when I was analyzing situations. There were so many instances with him where I really valued his guidance. And if you watch that video when I worked with Thoth, he originally had no interest in working with me. He was not interested at all. And he's tough too. I mean, the whole Egyptian pantheon, I would argue, is extremely tough. They are no nonsense. As far as deities go, that's just been my own personal experience with the Egyptian pantheon. They're from a completely different time. It's so different than my experience with like the Greek pantheon or the Norse pantheon, whatever. The Egyptian pantheon just feels like serious business. And that was very much my experience with Thoth. So anyways, I loved this set. I definitely recommend making your own divination system and your own language of symbols. So yeah, those are my favorites for 2023. Thanks for coming along with me. I have a ton of content planned planned for this next year. Like, holy shit, I have so much content planned and it's gonna be really, really exciting. Love you all. See you next time.